fake stuff and said a lot of stuff that, a person that you claim that you cool with, you would never say. So that was my big issue with him. I just know, character take you a long way. And I just don't agree with the character, actions that he took.
The problem is Terence Crawford now is really only going to want to fight for big money, and there's only certain fights that can generate that kind of money.
Terence Crawford has erupted in frustration after sparring footage with Floyd Mayweather surfaced online, and he isn't holding back. Crawford says he feels blindsided and let down, making it clear that he expected more from someone who has always claimed to be on good terms with him. The welterweight champion voices disappointment, saying private training sessions are meant to stay behind closed doors, not turn into public clips for the world to dissect. For Crawford, the leak wasn't just careless, it was a breach of trust. He stressed that this type of move shouldn't come from a fellow champion, especially one of Mayweather's stature, and warned that moments meant for growth and preparation should never be treated as fuel for headlines.
I had disliked a lot of things that he was saying, and how he was acting, being that, me, I'm a real individual. I just felt like, we was all cool at one point in time. And, when the Errol Spence fight was getting mentioned and talked about and, signed, I just felt like he just did a lot of fake stuff and said a lot of stuff that, a person that you claim that you cool with, you would never say. So that was my big issue with him. I just know, character take you a long way. And I just don't agree with the character, actions that he took.
Eddie Hearn's recent remark that Terence Crawford should consider retirement highlights just how divided the boxing world is about his future. Hearn pointed out that Crawford has already achieved what so many fighters spend their whole careers chasing. He's conquered multiple weight classes, dismantled elite opponents, and left little doubt about his place among the sport's all-time greats. If he chose to step away now, his legacy would remain untouchable, frozen at its peak, much like the way some legendary champions preserve their image by retiring on top. But Hearn also acknowledged the other side of the equation: money. Today's boxing landscape is heavily shaped by Saudi investment and high-profile cross-promotional events. Even fights that don't necessarily add to Crawford's legacy could still bring staggering, record-breaking paydays. That kind of financial incentive is hard to ignore, even for a fighter who has already cemented greatness. It's a delicate balance, legacy versus financial security. And Hearn, as one of the sport's top promoters, knows exactly how tempting that trade-off can be. For Crawford, the question isn't whether he's proven himself. It's whether he walks away as a legend untarnished, or stays to cash in on the kind of deals that only this new era of boxing can offer.
Sorry?
Should Crawford retire?
Do you know what? Someone said the other day, and it's very true, because I actually said it about Usyk. We've got a real tendency, haven't we, to kind of try and retire people off. Do you know what I mean? Like I said with Usyk, I think now he should retire. And everyone's like, why do you want him to retire? It's like, I just think it's a great way to go out. I actually also think that Crawford could move down and win a world title at 160. And that would make him, what, 6 division champ? 5, 35, 40, 47, 54, 6 division champion. But the problem is Terence Crawford now is really only going to want to fight for big money. And there's only certain fights that can generate that kind of money. So Shakur, who's obviously very close to him, seemed to say, so maybe that's it.
The question of whether Terence Crawford should retire has sparked a wave of debate. As one promoter pointed out, boxing often has a strange tendency to try and retire fighters while they're still on top. He admitted he'd said something similar about Alexander Usyk, suggesting that stepping away at the peak could be the perfect exit. The same logic, he explained, could apply to Crawford. But Crawford's situation is more complicated. On one hand, walking away now would cement his greatness forever. On the other, he still has options to expand his legacy. Some believe he could move down and even capture another world title at 160 pounds, potentially becoming a 6th division world champion, an achievement that would place him in truly rare company. The challenge is motivation. At this stage of his career, Crawford isn't chasing belts as much as he's chasing the right opportunities. The reality is clear. He's only likely to return for fights that generate huge financial rewards, and there are only a handful of opponents capable of producing that kind of payday. One of the few names mentioned is Shakur Stevenson, a close friend of Crawford's, who himself hinted that maybe a showdown like that could be the answer.
So I feel like Crawford, he could retire if he wants. I feel like if he does get another fight, I would love to see him in there with Virgil or Jerron. I feel like those are both great fights, but those are fights we just got to see. We just got to see those fights before. I feel like those are the only 2 fights I would entertain.
Not a rematch, maybe a rematch with Crawford and Canelo?
I feel like it wasn't close enough. It wasn't close enough.
Really?
If it was close, maybe, but it just was like, it wasn't close.
From Floyd Schofield's point of view, Terence Crawford has already reached the mountaintop, and staying there any longer could be more risk than reward. Schofield isn't questioning Crawford's greatness. In fact, he praises it. A pound-for-pound king, a multi-division world champion, and a fighter who's already beaten the best of his era. But in Schofield's eyes, the mission is complete if Crawford does decide to lace up the gloves again. Schofield argues it should only be against the next generation, names like Virgil Ortiz or Frank Martin. Young, hungry contenders who want to test if Crawford can still hold his ground against the new wave. Still, his message comes with respect. For Schofield, Crawford has nothing left to prove, and retiring now will preserve a flawless legacy at its absolute peak.
So yeah, everybody, so this is a good question that the ring put out. So Terence Crawford versus Floyd Mayweather, a fantasy fight that will never happen. Now, this is a really good question. Who will win between these two? Me personally, if this was old Floyd Mayweather, well, I'm going to say Pretty Boy Floyd, I'm talking about like the younger version of Floyd Mayweather wins. You're talking probably prime Floyd Mayweather versus prime Terence Crawford. You could see Floyd Mayweather beating Terence Crawford, but you're talking about money Floyd versus Terence Crawford. I see Terence Crawford stopping him in the later rounds due to Floyd Mayweather's passive style and Philly shell. I believe he'll melt. Terence Crawford would just break him, I think. People forget what Manny Pacquiao was able to do on Floyd Mayweather, have success with him certain parts of the fight, and people just need to see, Floyd Mayweather's, I would say, fights, later down the years. I think Crawford would just be able to break that defense. I don't know. The thing is about Terence Crawford, he has a very, very awkward style, very awkward foot movement and footwork. This is the thing. A lot of people were thinking, no, nobody beats Floyd. Or if you try to compare somebody else, no, this man will beat Floyd. Floyd would beat everybody. I don't think it's a case of Terence Crawford, everybody. I think Terence Crawford would have been the man to actually beat Floyd. Honestly, for what he did to Canelo Alvarez, he beat a 168 Canelo Alvarez. 168 Canelo Alvarez.
The debate rages on, and few topics spark as much fire as the fantasy of a prime Floyd Mayweather against a prime Terence Crawford. Fans can't let it go, and for good reason. Mayweather's defensive genius and razor-sharp ring IQ made him untouchable in his era, while Crawford's adaptability and ruthless finishing instincts have allowed him to dismantle everyone in front of him. On paper, it's the perfect clash of brilliance. But reality paints a different picture. Mayweather is long past his fighting prime. His reflexes dulled. His stamina no longer what it once was. A modern-day matchup wouldn't be the ultimate test of greatness. It would be a spectacle, not a legacy fight. That's why people insist on the different game angle. The dream of seeing their primes collide will always live on, but only as a dream frozen in boxing's imagination.
Floyd Mayweather versus Terence Crawford is the topic of this video, and someone posted this: number of world champion fighters beaten, Floyd with 23, Terence with only 11. But my response to this is, being more accomplished does not mean you're better than someone. By example, Canelo has 18 former world champions beaten, Terence has 11. So you could argue that Canelo's more accomplished. Meanwhile, Terence just whooped him over the course of 12 rounds over the weekend. We all saw it. Plus, more accomplished fighters lose to lesser accomplished fighters all the time, so that's a bad argument. Let's talk skill for skill. Terence Crawford has knockout power in both hands. He can switch stances. He's not a stationary target. He has good footwork. He knows how to counterpunch. He knows how to fight on the outside and on the inside. He can make it dirty. He knows how to box, and he knows how to fight. There's a difference. Guys like Shakur Stevenson, for example, they know how to box. When it comes to actually getting down and dirty, you know, the jury is still out on one Shakur Stevenson, just by example. Terence Crawford, I think, if you look at the names on Floyd's list here, Manny Pacquiao, Canelo, Marcos Maidana, Cotto, and the list goes on and on, I think Terence Crawford has a shot at beating all those guys. I don't think anybody on that list jumps off the page and goes, oh my God, I think he smokes Terence Crawford. You can't say that about anybody on any of these guys' lists and names here. So yeah, that's my take on this, man. Maybe the only guy is Gennady Golovkin. I could see Gennady Golovkin giving Terence a really hard fight, especially at that weight. But remember, Canelo lost to Gennady. Gennady shouldn't even be on this list. He's only on the list because the judges are in Canelo's back pocket. So, you know, that's a whole nother argument. But yeah, that's my take on this, guys. Skill for skill, Terence Crawford might be one of the best of all time. And that's okay. Like, it's okay to accept that, guys. It's fine. Let me know what you think in the comments below, whether you agree or disagree. It doesn't matter. Just join the discussion, subscribe for more, and leave a like if you enjoyed the time spent. Thank you. You are all appreciated.
Analysts are quick to remind fans that numbers and accolades, while impressive, don't automatically settle the debate over greatness. Floyd's immaculate 50-0 record and his ability to stay undefeated across multiple eras stand as a towering achievement few can touch. Crawford, meanwhile, holds the distinction of becoming undisputed in multiple divisions, a milestone even Floyd never reached. But here's where it gets complicated. Accomplishments across eras don't stack neatly on top of each other. Mayweather's resume is built on global names, blockbuster pay-per-views, and a kind of mainstream dominance that made him a household name. Crawford, by contrast, is rooted in decisive victories. Clean wins that leave no questions about who is better in the ring. The takeaway? Being more decorated on paper isn't the same as being the superior fighter head-to-head. Greatness depends on context, style, and timing, and that's why this debate refuses to die.
Punch can knock him out, you know what I'm saying? The size will be a factor. None of that was nothing.
How did you score it?
Huh?
How did you score the fight?
I think I gave Canelo about 3 rounds. About
Really?
3 rounds. Yeah, about 3 rounds. How did you score? You score about sound about fair?
What's that?
Sounds about right?
I had it closer, but there's loads of different scores.
Okay, 2 rounds.
You gave him 2 rounds.
I had 2 rounds. Yeah, he ain't do anything. I gave him a possible 3 rounds. So if I play space, we gave him 2 impossible.
Where did you put him in the all-time list? 5-weight world champion,
Who?
3-weight undisputed, Terence Crawford.
Who?
Terence Crawford.
He's number 1 right now. He's number 1. This is his generation. This is his timeline. He is the king right now.
Just seen in the press conference, Canelo said that Crawford's better than Mayweather. What do you think?
He's not lying. He fought him. He should know. How can somebody tell somebody that fought both of these guys, that, he know.
Yeah.
If anybody would know, Canelo would know.
What do you think's next for both?
I don't know.
Too early? You'd like to see a rematch?
Rematches always sound good. But in a rematch, it'd be the same thing.
Yeah. Cool.
Matter of fact, in a rematch, I'm predicting stoppage earlier.
Yeah. I think so too.
Yeah, I think so.
What's up?
My boy's the dog.
Sure.
Trust me.
Thank you.
He was in the ring with both of us, so a lot of people, they can say what they want, but he's actually been in the ring with both of us. One where he felt like he was at the best, and another where he felt like he was at a disadvantage when he had a rehydration clause and he was younger. So, I don't know, I don't go off of that. Floyd is the best fighter, in his era, and I feel like I'm the best fighter in my era.
One thing that I thought was really interesting about the fight, I always love watching you switch stances as effortlessly as you do. You didn't do that a lot in this fight. You didn't have to. Were you expecting not to have to?
No, I felt like I could have, but you know, why do something when something else is working?
Easy answer.